Jack Sawyer, Denzel Burke, and Emeka Egbuka are perfect players to represent Ohio State at B1G Media Days.
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in, Buckeyes fans, to a feel-good Friday edition of Locked On Buckeyes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, here on Friday, July 12th in the year 2024. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, also the host of the Jay Stevens Podcast, and today's episode is brought to you by our friends at FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more. As playoffs wind down, the sports stop sporting like you want them to, but this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day all summer long. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Before you know it, B1G Media Days will be right here in front of us. We'll be taking in 3 days of the annual event. For the first time in a long time, possibly the first time ever, B1G Media Days will be a 3-day event to accommodate the newcomers to the Big Ten from the West Coast. Ohio State is used to having all eyes on them at this event. Ryan Day understands what it means to be the head coach at Ohio State. But Ohio State wants to make sure that they have the right players representing them at this event. You don't want to put a guy in a situation there. Maybe he accepts the invite, but you put a guy in a situation there where he's not ready and he bombs and doesn't represent Ohio State well. With that in mind, I do believe Ohio State picking Jack Sawyer, Denzel Burke, and Emeka Egbuka is a great thing for them. They're perfect guys, not the only perfect guys, but those three together are perfect players to represent Ohio State at this event. Think about what you have when you have a mass group of media that's going to be in Lucas Oil Stadium or the new turf there at Lucas Oil Stadium. What are you going to have? You're going to have people from all over the country, not just from the Midwestern schools and from Nebraska and Maryland and Penn State and Rutgers. You're also going to have reporters from USC, from LA, and from Seattle and Washington and Eugene, Oregon. Why? Because now they're all going to be the newcomers from the West. They're all going to be here too. And members of the media, they're going to be doing their homework. They're going to be looking and digging into your stats and your accolades and saying, well, you didn't do this here. Why'd you come back how are you going to accomplish this goal this year when you haven't done it previously? There's going to be some questions about Ohio State, Michigan, Ohio State and Oregon, Ohio State and Penn State, Jeremiah Smith and Will Howard, the quarterback battle. They're going to have conversations and questions being thrown at them about a lot of things, but also there are people out there that want to just only ask the goofy stuff. If you could have one NIL deal with any company, who would it be? And I've been there before when people ask those questions. You'll find later on that there will be articles written, hey, I asked X amount of players this question. Here's every player's response. Great, cool. Denzel Burke at Ohio State, a 4-year starter, something you rarely, if ever, see at any school, especially Ohio State. Literally stepped on the field, the first defensive snap for Ohio State in 2021. He's a freshman, and he's starting due to injury. Granted, he's a newcomer, but there was an injury, and he was thrown into the spotlight. Played very, very well that year as a freshman and hasn't lost his starting job since. Now, he's been hit with injuries, and he's missed a game or two, but he's held down that spot. He's not only going to be one of the best corners in the Big Ten, he's also going to be one of the best corners and defensive backs in the entire country who will be up for the opportunity to win individual awards in the Big Ten for playing defensive back and corner, but also nationally as well. Jack Sawyer, not a 4-year starter, but Jack Sawyer is one of those guys that's been grinding, that's been working, it has been there and shifted a little bit when Jim Knowles is coming in and trying to figure out and understand his right role, and Jim Knowles is trying to figure out the right spot to play Jack Sawyer. In the last half of last season, Jack Sawyer showed everybody when things click, buddy, y'all better watch out. Y'all better be on your P's and Q's, dotting all the I's and crossing all the T's, because if not, it might be night for the opposing quarterback. And Jack Sawyer is one of those guys. He was very pivotal and influential in a lot of those older upperclassmen to stay at Ohio State. Egbuka could have been one that's gone. Burke could have been gone. Tyleik Williams and Tuamaloau and Henderson. All these guys could have been gone. Ransom. They all could have gone to the NFL and got paid. But no, they had unfinished business. And the big reason why they decided to stay in Columbus to complete and work to complete said unfinished business is because of Jack Sawyer's influence. But then Emeka Egbuka, one of those guys that at the end of his Buckeye career could have the career receptions record and career receiving yards record at Ohio State. That's something that I don't want people to just gloss over and say, whoa. Okay, cool, he might have the record. No, that's a big deal. I believe one of those records is held by Michael Jenkins, who ain't played in a Buckeye uniform in about 20 years. And I think the other one may be held by KJ Hill. I'm not exactly sure with that one, regardless of who it is. When I say Michael Jenkins to you, plays come into your mind. Not just a player and a number, but plays come into your mind. Maybe you think about what he did in the NFL, then just backtrack a little bit in your mind and think about what he did at Ohio State. When you think about any of the guys that are at receiver, Emeka Egbuka is among one of the best receivers to ever wear the scarlet and gray. Has some injury issues. He's now the lone leader in this room. Yeah, you got Jaden Ballard and Kojo Antwi, guys that have been there for a while, but they are unproven. Egbuka's not. Emeka Egbuka could easily be a first-round pick in the upcoming NFL draft, not just based off of talent, but because of how he produces on the football field. And these are all reasons why. We could go a little bit deeper into it, but these are all reasons why these are great individuals to represent Ohio State at the Big Ten Media Days, because of what they've done on the field, because why they stayed at Ohio State, but also this is something I think gets lost in this. All three of these guys will talk and share their personality and do it in a great way. And yeah, they may answer some of the more uncomfortable questions in a more joyful way or more comedy-filled response. They might do that. But all three of these guys have personality. You realize early on, Denzel Burke's freshman season, I remember a presser. It was inside the Woody Hayes Athletic Center. I forget who asked the question, but Denzel Burke responded with the confidence of someone. As a freshman, you say, oh, man, you don't know what you're talking about. No, he did, and he does, and he backs it up with his play on the field. I get it, man, and I'm looking forward to Egbuka getting out there and talking about the quarterback competition. If I am a reporter out there, and I with my son being born recently, I am not going to be at Big Ten Media Days this year. I'm going to stay with my at home with my wife and son Trey, and just tend to family matters during that time period. But if I were there, man, I would be someone trying to ask questions about the quarterback competition, but in different ways. Not so much, well, who's throwing you the football? No. But trying to figure out smart ways to, and it's going to be hard to outsmart these kids. They've been coached up very well by Ohio State's staff there. But I'm going to try to figure out ways, hey, who has the upper hand in the quarterback battle? Is it Will Howard? Is it Devin Brown? Is it Julian Sand? Where do Aaron Nolan and Lincoln Kienholz stand in this quarterback room? Are they 4-5? Are they 3-5? Are they 3-4? Where do they currently stand? Why? Because everybody wants to know. Even though we probably won't know until the middle of fall camp, the earlier we know, the more things you can talk about, and that can fill us into and lead us into different conversations we'll have during fall camp. I am glad the Buckeyes picked these three guys. I am glad all three of them accepted the invite, and I cannot wait to see what comes out of Big Ten Media Days as Sawyer, Burke, and Egbuka represent Ohio State at the annual event. Now, those are the three guys that are represent the Buckeyes at the event in a few weeks. Who would be the next man up to represent the Buckeyes at Big Ten Media Days? I'll tell you next. This episode is brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay guaranteed fit only available to U.S. customers. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day? Have to turn down the volume with all that shouting? Make the switch to Locked On Sports today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel program for you to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports today brings you can't miss analysis, opinions, and news. Streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making Locked On Buckeyes your first listen every day. The everydayers realize that I try to dive into different angles with various angles out of one story. Maybe one story, but there may be 6 or 7 or 8 different angles that you could go to discuss that one topic. And when I heard that Ohio State would be sending Egbuka, Sawyer, and Burke to represent Ohio State at the annual event, the B1G Media Days, I began to think in my head, who would be the next men up? I got 3 and 3, or however you want to break it down. You can go offense, defense. It does not matter. Who would simply be some of the next guys that will be in contention to represent Ohio State at this event? One, I would not say Will Howard is a god. I'll get that out of the way now. I'll tell you why later. But the one guy on offense that I think is an easy one is TreVeyon Henderson. I think he is a guy that when he's in his 4th year at Ohio State, been an off and on starter since he got to Columbus, has some injuries that really set him back a little bit, didn't allow him to play as frequently as he would like. But TreVeyon Henderson is the one guy on offense when I think about, well, if Egbuka's there, who else is a guy that could have left that stayed that would represent Ohio State in the way Ohio State wants to be represented? It's TreVeyon Henderson. And then on defense, I got 2 more guys. Well, really 3. I'll put 4 collectively in this grouping. Tuimoloau, easy. That's one there that's easily going to be a guy that's I'm going to pick. Cody Simon. Now, he's not going to be a future first-round pick, probably not a day 2 pick in the 2025 NFL draft, but Cody Simon has a mindset about him, a toughness about him. He is he's going to be somewhat of a coach on the field. He at times was Ohio State's best linebacker last year, with Still Chambers and Tommy Eichenberg being the 2 starting linebackers. Cody Simon's one of those guys where I'm saying, hey, could he and would he be one of the next men up? Absolutely. Then lastly, Lathan Ransom. I mean, we unfortunately talk about Ransom's injuries of late because it happened last year, happened in the Rose Bowl in the 2021 season. I think the game was played on January 1st of 22. But Lathan Ransom's easily a healthy Lathan Ransom is one of the better safeties in the country, one of the better strong safeties. He could play free safety. He could play a little nickel. Probably his best spot is at strong safety. But what you find with Lathan Ransom is a guy that's worked, a guy that grinds, a guy that just bleeds scarlet and gray, a guy that you want in your corner, and a guy that at this event, you know he understands the scarlet and gray, Ryan Day, Jim Knowles, what they want from the players in this spotlight. Lathan Ransom. Now let's go back to something I mentioned earlier before unveiling the next man up. Will Howard. I would not suggest Will Howard here. And I think it's because, and it goes back to something I believe Ryan Day normally does, when there's a quarterback battle, he ain't sending that quarterback out there. No, absolutely. If Ryan Day can avoid conversations and questions about who is going to be the starting quarterback at Ohio State in the current quarterback competition that's been going on all offseason, he's going to. And I don't blame him. If I'm Ryan Day, I would not want to put Will Howard in that spotlight, in that arena, with the mic in front of him, where reporters, and I mentioned just reporters from various schools, people that cover writers and hosts cover USC and UCLA and Oregon and Washington and Nebraska and Ohio State, Michigan State, so on and so forth. They're going to be there. You're also going to have national media there. It's Ohio State. People say it just means more than in the SEC. Y'all, that same statement could be made about Ohio State. It literally just means more. So, yes, you're going to have, oh boy, I can't think of the guy that writes for ESPN. Oh, my goodness. Pete Thamel. Pete Thamel's going to be there. I'm pretty sure. I have seen Dennis Dodd from CBS Sports. I've seen him there. Josh Pate will probably be in the back doing interviews. RJ Jones from Fox Sports would probably be in the back doing interviews. Joe Klatt will probably be there. Noah Eagle will probably be there. Brad Nessler, Gary Danielson, Todd Blackledge, maybe Gus Johnson. I don't know. But you're going to have all of these individuals there. And, of course, they're all going to, one, have more insight than the average person just because they have better contacts and better sources. But also, two, they also might ask questions in this event. Why? Because they want to dig deeper and to learn more things. Trust me. I think if you send Will Howard out there, you almost have to send Devin Brown out there. And that eliminates Sawyer or Egbuka or Burke representing Ohio State at the event. And I think based off not just their accolades, but their time at Ohio State, what they've done, what they have had to work towards to get to where they currently are, they deserve it more than Will Howard or Devin Brown. Devin Brown's barely played. Yes, he's still in the quarterback battle. But the reality is the young man has barely played football in college, and this is year 3. Not his fault. This ain't his fault. You're behind Stroud, you're behind McCoy. It's literally not his fault. But the reality is, Ryan Day's smart. He can avoid some of these conversations. Now, when the Big Ten goes around and does their preseason tour of fall camps, and they come to Columbus and they talk to the quarterbacks. Remember last year, they had McCord and Brown on set at the same time. I believe they were being interviewed by Dave Revson, who has been a longtime face of the Big Ten Network. Okay, you're on campus. They know they're going to ask you. The players want to be prepped. Cool. But at this event, y'all, no, I'm with Day. Leave them out. Now, there are some other guys that I think about when I say, oh, they could go. They got a little bit of personality with them, with Josh Fryer. But I also understand why. It's also a position thing. Would I rather send a defensive end or an offensive lineman? That's all I got to say. No knock to Josh Fryer or Donovan Jackson or who they are as individuals or personality. Nothing like that. Nothing knocking them. But if I could send a defensive end who's going to be a higher draft pick, who is going to be someone that's going to be better on the field in the fall over your starting right tackle, probably starting right tackle, and your starting left guard, probably going to go defensive end. So it's Fryer and Jackson being seasoned vets, and Fryer's been a workout warrior. They've been raving about Josh Fryer in workouts, which is why I do believe he started last year. And I know he started last year, but I do believe his workouts this year, it's going to be hard to really take him off the field. Also, the depth of that position is not really where you want it to be. Every day, or stick around for that conversation to come up next week, talking about the Buckeyes offensive line and why the depth is a major concern. That's it, man. Who do you think I got it right? Do you think that Ohio State should send in the next man up grouping these 4? Travion Henderson, Cody Simon, Tuiba Lowell, Lathan Ransom? Let me know. Hop in the YouTube comment section on this video and let your voice be heard. Speaking of voice being heard, I got a question about a very important topic. It's the Block O jersey. Who should wear the Block O jersey in 2024? I'll tell you next. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. I love sports. I love them so much. I never want them to stop. But as the playoffs wind down, we get fewer games. And the sports aren't sporting like I want them to. But FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open up the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone, every day, all summer long. So head over to FanDuel.com and start making the most out of your summer. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. Thank you for making Locked On Buckeyes your first listen every day. The everydayers have been used to this conversation this time of year every year. Who is going to wear the Block O jersey? And the Blocko jersey is something that Ryan Day started back in 2020. It's a way to honor a former Buckeye legend in Bill Willis, who was a defensive end, played in 1942 to 44, was an All-American, a national champion, and also broke the color barrier in the National Football League, played with the Cleveland Browns, and was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame and the College Football Hall of Fame, just to talk about what kind of individual Bill Willis was. But also, he wore number 99, and this Blocko jersey, not going to do number 99, but Blocko jersey, it stands for toughness, accountability, and the highest of character. These are values that the current day Buckeyes strive for every day. And Ryan Day and the players and the coaching staff, they are trying to figure out who is a person at Ohio State on the current team that screams, bleeds toughness, accountability, and the highest of character. Newsflash, I think the guy that should wear the Blocko jersey this year is one of the three guys that is going to Big Ten Media Days this year to represent Ohio State. Just to recap, Jack Sawyer's one of them, Denzel Burke's one of them, and Emeka Egbuka's one of them. To me, right now, and this is going to be a popular opinion, and I'm not surprised that it is, Jack Sawyer is the guy to wear the Blocko jersey this year. Jack Sawyer, and I mentioned this earlier when talking about him earlier in the show. First couple of years, literally trying to figure things out. He knew how to play defensive end, was a highly sought-after player from the state of Ohio, and it made sense why he came to Ohio State, but he was trying to figure things out. Jim Knowles is here. What is the right way to play Jack Sawyer? I saw him play a little bit of the jack position, and it just didn't seem like it was the right fit for him. And I think maybe he even realized, and the other coaches, this might not be the right fit for Sawyer on the field. Once that thing clicked last year and things started to just really work themselves out, and he started to grind, he started to work, he started to impose his will on the opposition, what did you find? Jack Sawyer began wrecking games over and over and over and over again. But it's not so much what he did in the last half of last season. It's the process he had to get there. And the process he had to get there, and the reason why he's still at Ohio State, that's special. I mean, his story itself is special. Getting an Ohio State scholarship, committing to Ohio State, signing with Ohio State, that is special. First couple of years, not really having the success that some people thought he was going to have, but also realize you're a freshman. It's going to be hard to be successful as a freshman. You're a sophomore. Oh, you got a new defensive coordinator. Oh, man. 2 D coordinators in 2 years? That's not a great way to start your collegiate career. Beginning of year 3? Oh, wait, okay. Are things working out the way that he wants them to? Not really. And all of a sudden they were, but he just had to keep working, had to keep his mind right, had to stay tough, had to remain accountable, had to have the highest of character. And you realize one thing with Jack Sawyer, he has all that and then some. You know, some kids say, hey, you're all that in a bag of chips. It's kind of the same thing. Like, he may not think he's all that in a bag of chips, but he was actually out there playing like he had all the skills and then some out there to bust heads on the football field. Jack Sawyer's a guy, man. That process. When I think about the guys that previously wore the Blocko jersey, Jonathan Cooper was the first player to wear the jersey, then Thayer Munford and Cam Babb. That's a story, a good one in and of itself. Xavier Johnson, another great story. What are you finding? Toughness, the highest of characters, and the accountability that is needed to be a Buckeye, to be remembered by a Buckeye. Cam Babb didn't play that much at Ohio State. Got hit with the injury bug a lot. Scored his one only touchdown in the Scarlet and Gray on senior day. And, man, I remember the celebration. My wife and I were actually at the game. I just thought about that, actually. We were actually at the game, and she's like, who is that? I was like, Cam Babb. And I did not realize in the moment that was his only touchdown. His first touchdown he scored in his career. On senior day, think about all the injuries, all the setbacks, all the heartbreak, all the things mentally that's like, man, will I ever do it? Will I ever do it? And he did it on senior day. Now, that's months after he earned the Blocko jersey. But once he received it, he didn't lose that toughness. He didn't lose that level of accountability that is needed. He didn't. He still kept that at the highest of character, that being a way to describe him as an individual. Jack Sawyer's a guy. Now, I kind of wrestled with this. Not going to lie to you. I kind of went back and forth. Is it Denzel Burke? Is it Emeka Egbuka? Is it Denzel Burke? Is it Emeka Egbuka? I'm literally in my head trying to figure out, okay, I got 33 being Sawyer. I got 33 at the top. Do I go number 2 or do I go number 10? And I'm on my paper saying, oh, no, I can't circle that one yet. Oh, no, I can't circle that one yet. Oh, I can't finish that circle yet. I mean, I'm literally going back and forth. Why? Because honestly, they deserve it. They earn it. And honestly, if there's one guy that's not one of these three that I say should wear the Blocko jersey, that's a starter, get that bad boy to Lathan Ransom. Ooh, get that bad boy to Lathan Ransom. One thing I realized thinking about this, it doesn't have to be a starter. Now, Cooper started, Munford started, Cam Babb didn't start. Xavier Johnson started off and on due to injury, but X was really just a role player, kind of a Swiss Army knife. Lined up and running back a little bit, lined up in the slot a little bit. Just figured out, hey, where do you need me? While he was also a walk-on. I mean, think about what he did against Notre Dame a couple years ago in 2022. And I was a person that when I was watching the game, actually my wife and I went to Ohio, to my friend Sarah's house to watch the game with a bunch of people there. And I'm thinking, okay, I know the roster. I know some things. I know some guys that are supposed to be on the field. Who that? I mean, literally in my head, I'm thinking, who is that? Oh, it's Xavier Johnson. He made a big play in the red zone, scoring a touchdown. But that came after. No, they actually hadn't won. That was the year before he got the Blocko jersey. But what did he do? Didn't let the circumstances to get to Ohio State deter him from doing big things, remained tough, accountable, and kept his character high. Jack Sawyer, that's what he has done in the scarlet and gray ever since he stepped on campus. I love being back with y'all. Man, things are going to ramp up in a big way next week. No, fall camp isn't starting yet. We're about 3 weeks away from the start of fall camp. But what we are going to do is look more at some of those positions that have not been touched on a lot this offseason and revisit some conversations that we previously touched on to see if things have changed and to share some thoughts, present thoughts, on quarterbacks, running backs, receivers, etc. Also, thank you, the Everydayer, for listening and tapping into Locked On Buckeyes and making it your first listen every day. Now, for your second listen, make sure you check out the Locked On Sports Today podcast. It is a place for you to get the news, updates, and analysis on news and reactions from the previous days, events, and games. 20 minutes or less every single day. You can get on Apple or Spotify or YouTube, wherever you get Locked On Buckeyes. You can also find the Locked On Sports Today podcast and make it your second listen of the day. You can follow me on X at jstevens07. Send every email to jstevens317@gmail.com. We're out of here on a Friday, Buckeye fans. We'll see you next time.